And they're going to come to McIntosh County and they're going to use their resources to determine whether or not what you told me, if there's any factual basis to believe that public corruption has happened. And if they find some credibility underneath what you have told me, then they're going to come back and refer a case for prosecution in my office. But likewise, if they come back and say, well, yeah, they told you this, but this is the other part of the story, and we don't think any public corruption is taking place, then there won't be any prosecution. I mean, that's just the way the system works.
What he's saying is the fact that he's not the only one that are paying taxes on land. He's paying the same. He's paying the same price that his sister is paying. Now, there are tract of land, the Walker tract of land. You have the descender of the Walkers paying taxes, and then you have another gentleman, Avery, paying taxes on the same piece of land.
So is it appropriate for me to ask why do you think this is happening? Is it corruption? Is it a bad system?
Yes, it's a bad system.
Have you got poor record keeping or what is it?
It's all three. Because
did you recognize and say that all three? Some of those three are not things that I was getting wrong. Well, if it's a poor process or bad records,
corruption. Because what we have is factual paperwork from the tax assessor's office shows that there are a number, and I mean in the 10, 12, 15 sets of families, yes, that are paying the same tax on the same land out of different accounts. Yes. So one family sends a check in, the same family sends a check in for the same tract of land, but they're not saying, hey, and that might be a mistake on the land.
But you understand that where is the money going? Is the money going to the county, or is that tax collector taking the money and putting it in his pocket?
Well, I don't know what we're going to do, but we pay to the county, what we're required to do. That's what we thought you come here to, find out what's going on.
Well, I'm trying to do that by asking the questions that leave me angry. But the question is that if the guy is a sorry tax assessor, or tax commissioner, or a bad tax commissioner, that's bad. That ain't illegal. A lot of people don't do their jobs well. But if he's stealing from you, or if he's discriminating against you, that is something I can do something about. So help me figure out which one it is.
But the tax commissioner collect money, but this problem is coming from the tax assessor.
Yes.
Who evaluate property. But the tax commissioner could see what's happening, and then she can return, sell your property by saying that one of those individuals did not pay their taxes. Although there are two.
We've added another component. She is assessing you a tax that you're not able to pay, and is selling your property on the courthouse steps for failure to pay tax.
She's not the assessor.
To further this along, I acquire Attorney Nelson in Logan, Georgia.
Yeah, but if I'm wrong, tell me. Let's not gloss over it. I'm not understanding what he's trying to make.
The point you're making is valid. And that is, it's one thing for someone to be a government official, getting money and taking it and putting it in their pocket.
Correct.
It's another thing.
That's public corruption.
Public corruption, exactly. It's another thing for government officials to be doing interactive record keeping or doing something that is not according to the policy or the law. We in the community are calling that corruption, but as the distinction from the litigation and enforcement accountability, you're now educating us to say that is not corruption.
It's just bad.
So this is why we had you come.
Okay. So the incompetence may not be corruption.
Precisely.
But it may rise to the level of a violation of the civil rights.
Precisely.
And to make that application, I assume we're saying that incompetence is structured in a way that it only impacts African Americans.
Precisely. Now, that is a critical distinction that would not have been made if you had not been in the room. And for us to be able to communicate in the language of our experience and our expression and slow the process down long enough for us to hear what you have to say. And that is what has been missing for us.
And to
put it in this perspective.
I'm sorry, I pointed at my thought. Okay.
Yes, I am new at this. My name is Carolyn Porter, and I am new at this, and I'm just sitting down here listening at all that's going on. But I have a case pending on me right now concerning the election.
Well, can you tell me what kind of case it is?
Yes.
Criminal case or is it an administrative case?
Election.
They're trying to make
The ballot.
Is it
Be specific.
Is it a prosecution like with the defendant, or is it
It's
a
a
civil case?
It's a prosecution case. I think you may turn it to criminal. I hope not anyway. Well, it's not criminal. It would be felony.
That's good.
Yes. For mishandling appropriate ballots. And they turn it over to the grand jury. The first grand jury they turned it over to, they it came out as a no bill, and in return they held it sometime high, and they turned it over to another grand jury, and then indicted on the charge. So what can be done about that? Right now, this case is pending.
I can say very certainly that there's nothing that we can do about that because it involves, since it's a criminal nature, I would assume that you have counsel appointed to you. Is that right?
Yes.
So
yes, I have a lawyer.
that's really something that's specific to your case, and it's nothing that our office would handle because it's a pending case. Our office couldn't do anything about it.
Okay.
Criminal matter.
Unless you are alleging, and you should have heard these words earlier, pattern of practice. If you're telling me that when African Americans are in cases against African Americans or charges against African Americans are submitted to the grand jury, and the initial grand jury finds a no that there's no basis for prosecution, and that there's a pattern of practice of the district attorney resubmitting those to a second and a third grand jury, but only as it pertains to African Americans, then there may be a basis for a pattern of practice discrimination, but we would have to determine whether or not that's it. But just on the basis of what you just told us, there doesn't appear to be anything that would be actionable by our
I don't think they've done that to more than
that's
other African Americans.
You were there last night, correct? At the meeting last night? Can you talk a little bit, or is there anybody that was here last night that can talk about some of the issues that were brought up about?
Well, if it is to other African Americans, where they had a grand jury and they.
That's a relatively simple matter. As I said, I would communicate with my contacts at the FBI. You know, it's just a matter of going in and looking at the records. I mean, I'm sure, I would hope, if they're like every other district attorney's office and clerk's office in the county, you know, they keep records of the true bills and the no bills and the grand juries, and it's just a matter of seeing how many times that's been done and checking and confirming the race of the person that was done to and making the determination.
But we've had that happen more than once here lately in McIntosh County.
And that's some other examples from earlier today. We don't want to we're not trying to knock anything coming down now, but we just want to establish, as part of the know your rights aspect, that that is what the law says it is, and that we would have to investigate further so things wouldn't end today in terms of what you would want to send us or what you would want to bring forward to us.
Now, I came today, but I came prepared because I thought it was going to be we were supposed to present whatever we had to you all.
That's what we had initiated, yeah. Maybe we're going to have each agency present information on what your rights are, and it got off to a very different start.
So I came prepared with my paperwork, so you can see exactly what I was talking about in my particular cases. So I guess that's not what it was.
That's what we said. We'll be back tomorrow. So anybody who want to talk to HUD to see whether you have a fair housing complaint that we know we can get through the system to get investigated. We're here to look at your stuff and say, okay, that's not something in our jurisdiction. However, we can make sure it get to the agents. I don't know if I came in late, sorry about that. But if it was explained that all of these enforcement agencies here, as we stated, we have specific rules, regulations, and guidelines that we have to follow.
Like
we're here, as we stated, we're not saying these things are not true and did not happen, but for us as an investigative agency, they're allegations for us as investigators. And I'm here to gather all of your information so I can go out and get the facts as to whether or not there is corruption. There is all of these things going on and try to find out why. And I don't know if you all know if it was explained to you. In an investigative process, we are neutral. We don't represent anybody. But we're here to make sure that the laws are not being violated, that your civil rights are not being violated, that your housing issues are not being overlooked. And if they are, that's when we're able to enforce and get your case to the district court, the superior court, or wherever you're trying to get it to. And another thing about our agency, if you already have legal issues already in court and they are heard by a judge, for us in HUD, it's once a decision is made, it's a res judicata for us. I can't touch it again because they've already been dealt with. You've been where I'm trying to get you to, so that's double dipping.
So you're saying with my situation, if I felt like it was discrimination.
Yeah, it's an allegation for me. Yeah, I'm not saying it wasn't, but it's called facts. If the facts don't prove it was, I can never change your perception that you felt they discriminated against me. But if I can find sufficient evidence to prove, yeah, this happened to me.
That's what I'm saying. If I hold the facts and then you find you hold evidence that you hope support your allegations. Right.
Because as the gentleman stated, we're investigating. So just like you made your allegations, the person that you're making those allegations against, I have to provide them the due process and opportunity to provide their position as to why whatever transpired that you felt was discriminatory happened.
Right.
And if they come with their evidence and they refuse your evidence, then we'll be going back and forth doing everybody refuting who said what, and that's where we come in to say, okay, who's the credible individual in this situation?
What I'm saying is I have a situation where the judge, even after it was discrimination on the part of myself and a Caucasian clerk, and the judge even wrote the judiciary. I got a letter where he wrote the judiciary committee